Talk with Kim on KKNW AM 1150. And we're here with LeAnne Moss with Women's Funding Alliance. And so, LeAnne, tell us, I'm interested in your women entrepreneurship types of programs. What are some of the ways that, women that are out there, myself included, I worked for corporate America, and we downsized, and I decided to start my own business, and, was able to finance a lot of that through some really close friends and family. But I'm seeing that there's women out there that are, never would have thought they would have been business owners, and now here they have this opportunity through your organization.
Right. One of the main, well, we fund a couple of different organizations that work on self-employment entrepreneurship. One is Washington Cash, that might be more well known, and they're here in Seattle. We also fund a group called Enterprise for Equity in Olympia. And then we just provided a grant this year to the Nonprofit Assistance Center that is working with Burmese and Bhutanese refugees and immigrants to start their own businesses or cooperatives, because a lot of times in those cultures it's more natural and part of their culture to work together to form a cooperative. So, and my background actually is in this area. I started a microenterprise organization in Michigan for women, and so saw directly there the power of it. And one thing we learned in our study is that refugee and immigrant women in particular are the fastest group of growing entrepreneurs in this country. And a lot of that is because they're often natural leaders in their own countries, and this is a great outlet for them when a language barrier or other barriers keep them from having a job that is really financially reliable for their family.
What types of businesses are they typically going into?
Well, I remember one story from a woman, I forgot her name, from Africa that went to Washington Cash, and she started a soap business. She had made soap in her country and came here and couldn't find anything that worked with her skin and was as good as what was in her country. So she made it and is doing really well. Other businesses around clothing, around a lot of restaurants, kind of ethnic food, again, to be a part of their culture and to also involve their family.
If you go to Washington Cash, would they have a listing of those?
Oh yeah,
folks?
I'm sure that.
So if you're interested,
you could call them.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Well, you can get the information about your website is WFA or WFAlliance.org, and I'll have all that information on the walkthetalkwithkim.com site, and so that if you want to do a little bit of research, we can find that information for you. But I'm intrigued. I'd love to see the soap that she's talking about for her skin.
Yeah.
Interesting. So those are entrepreneurship types of opportunities. Tell us I missed the event, unfortunately. I was really sad I couldn't make it. I really wanted to hear the story from this, because you always have stories. So can you tell us a story from one of the women that was helped?
It's actually, this year is interesting because we had a woman speak from Washington Cash. Her name is Crystal, and she's an amazing woman, and she started a business called One More Daughter that helps people with who need one more daughter, like domestic services as they're getting older and they need to be taken care of. And she had been in a situation where she was making a very low wage and couldn't support herself and was facing a number of barriers. And now she has a number of employees, is doing really well, and provides this important service there. So she spoke at our breakfast this year, and people can actually go to our website, and we have her on our website, and they can hear her story from her. And then last year, one of the women who spoke, his name was Jeannie, and I don't know if you remember this, but part of her story was she had gotten into a bad financial situation trying to provide for her daughter and pay her education costs for her daughter, and got caught up in the payday loans.
Yes.
And that whole system, which is a systemic issue that I know groups like Statewide Poverty Action Network and other groups are working on to just put the kibosh on, but how they can charge exorbitant fees and interest, and it was just a hard cycle to get out of, and she was able to get out of that with the help of Statewide Poverty Action Network and some of the legislative work that they did too.
So there's hope and help out there for
Yes.
women that
Mhm.
might be listening right now. Would they go to your website, for information on finding those organizations?
Yeah, depending on what, they can go to our website and look under the grantee, like who we fund tab, and there's a list of all our grantee agencies, connections to, links to their websites. They can also call our organization 206-467-6733, and
Say that number one more time.
206-467-6733. If they want to get connected to an organization to volunteer or to have services or to donate or things like that.
There's help out there for women and,
Yep.
and for children. So one of the subjects I did also want to talk to you about today is a special day for women, and it's national. No, you tell me what today is.
Well, today has been a National Call-In Day of Action around the sexual exploitation and trafficking of children. And so because of the time change in D.C., well, Congress is probably still working, but we sent out an email today encouraging people to call their representatives, because there's a bill called the Domestic Minor Sex Trafficking Deterrence and Victim Support Act of 2010. Not a very catchy title.
No.
It doesn't roll off your tongue.
And there's no acronym for that?
But we could probably figure one out. But it's incredibly, incredibly important. At least 300,000 young children, mostly girls, are prostituted in this country. And it's incredibly sad, and it's a call to action to our country. And this, often people think of human trafficking in terms of coming overseas, and that's an issue. That is definitely an issue. But it's happening domestically too, where girls are taken and pimped and enslaved, basically, and it's hard to get out. And Seattle is a problem area, and people might not know.
Didn't I just hear something on the news about that?
Yes, so there was an operation, I think, like nationally, 63 girls were rescued, and I think 29 were from the Seattle area, the most ever. And it's because we have the good side is that we have a good kind of operation. People are aware of it. We at Women's Funding Alliance provided a grant this last year to a group called the Bridge Program that was initiated by Councilman Tim Burgess. That is a safe haven, a residential program for children, mainly girls. And together with the Tim Burgess's office, we're holding a town hall meeting on January 20th to raise awareness more about this issue that people need to know about and act on. We're going to have information about what's happening nationally, and this is an effort that a lot of women's funds around the country are engaging in together. And we're going to have information locally on what people can do. The real sad and disgusting thing, Kim, is that we're having this January 20th because trafficking of this and exploitation of this sort tends to increase around the Super Bowl. Just like in years past you would hear that about domestic violence, that violence would increase around the Super Bowl. And so we really need to get the word out that things have to change.
And where do these girls come from? I mean, are they just picked up off the street, or are they low social?
I don't know everything about that, but many of them could be runaways or taken, abducted. I think if there are different family situations where, and it's like with any pimp or a man that might start making you feel special and you don't realize what you're getting into until it's too late. If they're vulnerable in a bad family situation. So a lot of different dynamics. But that's a reason to come to the town hall meeting,
So
is
you
to
can,
find out more.
I'd love to know what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really interesting.
Well, even though today was the Call to Action Day, they can still call their representative, because I don't think they're acting on this until February, and it's HR 5575, and we'll have information about it on our website as well.
HR 5575, and I'll make sure I've got
Yeah,
information.
that's easier to remember than the whole title.
Then the whole time, I don't even remember what the title is. What is that title again?
The Domestic Minor Sex Trafficking Deterrence and Victim Support Act of 2000.
Interesting. It'd be interesting to see what that law actually states on how it's going to
Yeah.
actually